Are you always confused when you're approaching anything new and you seem not to understand anything you are trying to read at that point? Came across some terminology and you just got confused, and in fact you dropped it and you told yourself you are not learning again. Right here on today's video, I'm going to be showing the process to take to learn anything at all from scratch. I am Abayomi, and right here on this channel I drop in tips and strategies that can help you as a student learn and put you on the right track. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, please consider subscribing to my channel right now. I've actually gone through the first part of this video, which you can check on the card above, but then I'd like to start from the beginning and take you through to the end of the video. Now, before I go into the meat of the video, I'll be stating the things that you'll be learning in this video, and it's going to be a very long video, and I'll be taking you through this process step by step. Now, I'll be taking you through the stages of learning. I'll be taking you through the learning plan. I'll be taking you through specific things you need to take into consideration while learning, and I'll be taking you through the practical steps that you can take to overcome this frustration or this confusion that you might be facing at any point when you are learning any subject. It could be maths, it could be English, it could be any subject you are just approaching for the first time and you seem confused, or you are trying to learn any skill at all. This process that I'll be teaching you on this video will help you scale through any problem that you might be facing while learning any of these things that I stated. Now, the first thing I'll be teaching you right here on this video, and is one of the valuable things you need to take into consideration when you are learning any new thing at any point in time, is the stages of learning. Everyone at any point in time, you will have passed through these stages, but you don't actually know that you passed through these stages. But right here on this video, I'm going to be calling your attention to these stages. So anytime you want to learn anything at any point in time, you know what stage are you, and you know what to do and what not to do at each stage. When it comes to stages of learning, we have the discovery stage, we have the development stage, and we have the application stage. So I'll be taking you through each of these as we go on in this video, and I'll be showing you the practical steps you should take in order to pass through all these stages. At the discovery stage, there are several things you need to take into consideration. First of all, you need to ask yourself some questions. Secondly, you need to do some kind of research. And the third thing that you need to take into consideration in the discovery is to engage in some kind of experimenting. Now, when it comes to answering questions, you should ask yourself, what is the topic you are trying to learn, or what is the skill you are trying to learn? When you're answering this, you need to get familiar with some foundational words, some foundational terms, some foundational principles that guides this skill or this subject you are trying to learn. Now, take for example, if you are trying to learn mathematics, you need to understand some terminologies. You need to understand some basic steps in order to go to the complex one. So if you don't understand this basic thing, or these basic terminologies, or these basic languages in this subject or any skill you want to learn, by the time you get to the complex stage, there will be confusion, and I'm sure that is why you are frustrated at any stage of learning that you have. Now, when you are at this discovery stage, you should search for words. Now, mathematics, now you should know what collecting the lifetimes is. You should know what they mean by pi. You should know what they mean by plus. You should know so many times. You should know what they mean by differentiating. You should know what they mean by some certain words. You should know what some certain principles mean. You should expose yourself to the world of mathematics by exposing yourself to the basic words. After you ask yourself some questions and you've gotten familiar with the basic words and the basic terminologies and the basic principles under the discovery stage, the next thing you need to take into consideration under this discovery stage is to do some research. Now, this is what I mean by sourcing out materials. You've asked yourself questions, then you have to draw out resources, you have to bring out resources, you have to watch videos, you have to seek the help of your teachers, you have to seek the help of your mates that actually know more than you at this stage. You have to actually see how they do things in this skill or in this subject, or listen to the explanation of each concept and expose yourself to the world of this particular skill or subject that you want to learn. So at this stage, you are meant to sort out materials. Now, me specifically, when I was trying to learn economics in university, at that point, I had zero knowledge about it. In fact, when I get to class, I'm always very confused at that point. But then I took it upon myself to get textbooks, to get dictionaries of economics. So whenever I listen to a word or the lecturer says, I check the dictionary, I check the meaning of the word, and I link it to what he's actually talking about. That's when I could relate well. And along the line, I got several textbooks. And anytime I'm reading, the dictionary is always beside me because I am not familiar with some terms and I'm at the discovery stage at that point. So you should always know when you're at the discovery stage. At the point in time when you're in class and what you are learning or what particular person is explaining to you doesn't make any sense to you, then you should launch into the discovery stage. So after doing some research, you watch videos, you watch YouTube videos, you source out different materials online. You look at patterns, you look at connections, you look at how informations connect to each other, you look at how these things connect to each other, you look at similarities in things at this stage. This is the discovery stage, and this is where you are doing some research. Then after going through that, you need to experiment. Now, experimenting has to do with playing out with ideas and trying out new things and making or getting your hands dirty. If it is mathematics you are trying to learn at that point, get some textbooks, see the examples, try to solve it on your own, experiment with things, check what you did and what you did not do. And if you check what you did with the example they gave, if it is correct, then you are on the right track. If it's not correct, then you have to keep at this discovery stage. Now, if it's a skill you are trying to learn and you've gone through the basic things, you've gone through the basic terms, you need to actually experiment what you learn and put it into practice. If what you learned is not in correlation with the information that you got from the source that you learned or from the expert, it is important to go back and do some adjustments at this experimenting stage. So in the discovery phase, we have when you ask questions, that is, ask yourself the topic or the subject that you are learning and seek out to know the basic terms, get familiar with the basic terms and the basic terminologies, then go on to do some researches and you experiment. So that is all about the discovery stage. The next phase is development stage. This is the most important stage that you should take into consideration because you've gone through the discovery stage. You've exposed is the exposure, is the like exposing yourself to things you get. But now this stage is development stage, which is also called the engagement phase. Now this is where you go through the active processing. That is, you want to get the information stocked into your brain in order for you not to forget. You just learned a skill, you discovered it, you learned it, you got familiar with it. But at the initial point, there's a tendency that you will forget what you learn. So, in order for you not to forget, in order for you to sustain that information, this is the development stage. This is where you have to engage with what you learn. This is where you have to ask yourself questions. This is where you have to discuss what you learned to someone else to check whether you actually learned that thing. This is where you have to engage in drills. This is where you have to ask questions from your lecturers, or this is where you have to answer questions in class. This is where you have to do a lot of things. You have to teach what you learn in order for you to get solidified. Teach what you learn to someone else to check whether you know it. Engage yourself in exercises. Ask questions. Do some drills. Do presentations. And when you do all these things, when you do the act of doing, that is doing and actually checking, then when you go through this step, that's when the information you are trying to learn gets solidified into your brain. Now, there are points in which you are trying to jump to the development stage, but then you've not gone through the discovery stage. That's when some students have problems and they end up cramming because you've not exposed yourself to some basic terminologies, and because you don't understand those words, then you want to get it into your brain. It cannot happen. You have to go through the stages as it is. So in the development stage, you have the analyzing stage. The analyzing stage is when you look for relationships between concepts. You look for patterns. This is what we call the elaboration. That is, looking for relationships between concepts and trying to see how this relates to this, because it will help you to remember at any point in time. After that, that is when you go to the practicing stage. The practicing stage is where you ask questions, you go through drills, you go through exercises, you teach someone what to learn, you engage in all sort of active learning in order for it to get solidified. Having gone through the development stage, the next stage that we're discussing is the application stage. And of course, by the time application, you know, this is the point where you need to apply what you learn into the real world. Now, if you do not go through the discovery stage and you not go through the development stage, there is no how you can apply it, because when it comes to application, that's when mastery take into place. Because if you do not master what you learn, then how will you be able to apply it in situations where you don't, of course, you don't have to carry your book around at every point in time, and you need this information, you need to get solidified into your brain. And when you are faced with problem in the real world, you should be able to recall that, okay, if this is that, then in this situation, this is what we are supposed to do. So it is when you've successfully gone through the development stage and the discovery stage, that is when you'll be able to go through the application stage. So I haven't talked to you about all these stages. I hope you've got so much value from all the stages of learning. And before I move to the next phase of this video, now it is not compulsory you go through the phases: discovery, development, and application. You can actually go back and forth, because in situations whereby you are at the application stage and some information has not still stick into your brain, or you still need, there are some changes in the discipline, there are just changes in the skill that you are not aware of, you still have to go through the discovery stage, the development stage, and go back to the application stage. Or at any point in your development stage, you are trying to learn, you are trying to engage in some kind of, you're trying to ask yourself questions, you are trying to engage in active learning, but then you are not still exposed to some basic words, then you have to go back to the discovery stage. So this, if you are getting so much value from this video you are watching, please click on the subscribe button right now and like the video. So let's go on to the next point. Now, having gone through the stages of learning, now I'll be taking you through the learning plan, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And when it comes to learning plan, there are several things you need to take into consideration. You need to take into consideration the why you are learning, what you are learning, when you are learning, and how you are going to learn. Now, when it comes to why, there are two things you need to take into consideration. You need to take into consideration your level of motivation and your level of curiosity, because it is all these things that matters when it comes to learning. Because if you are not motivated to learn and are not interested in whatever you want to learn, there is no how you can learn. So you have to take all these things into consideration, because it's the driving force that will push you through and want to learn anything you want to learn. The next thing you need to take into consideration is the what question. Now, when it comes to what question, you have to have a specific objective. What exactly do you want to achieve? And then you know that you have to tailor the material or anything you want to learn to what exactly you want to achieve. Because if you don't know what you want to learn, there can be confusion and there will be disorganization. Now, the next thing you need to take into consideration is how exactly you want to learn. Now, how do you want to learn? What are the approach? What are the techniques you want to use in order for you to get that thing stuck into your brain? What are the learning techniques that you want to use? This is where you have to take that into consideration. And when you do that, the learning becomes smoother and easier. Now, the next thing you need to take into consideration is the when question. When exactly do you want to learn? This is where scheduling comes in. You have to schedule each task, each objective that you want to achieve. You have to schedule it to each period, because that's when your learning becomes simplified. And if you take that, if you take small steps, then it becomes a whole. And that's exactly how you can learn anything from the scratch at any point in time. So I am happy you got to this point of the video. If you got so much value from this video, please click the like button, and also please subscribe to the channel. You can also check out this other video on how you can study to understand instead of memorize, because in that video I talked about techniques you need to take into consideration in order for you to understand instead of falling into the trap of cramming. So thank you so much for watching. See you on the next video.